So, sometime last week, Free League was nice enough to send me some digital copies of some of their games. And I took a look. I really like Free League stuff, even though the only game I've really played was Alien. But I love the Alien franchise as like movies, and the game was a blast. And I've heard a lot of good things about all the other Free League games. And my group and I decided that we're going to give one a shot. We wanted to step away from the typical D&D fantasy stuff and try something else for a little bit. So we decided on Twilight 2000. It was up in the air a little bit. We were thinking about the One Ring. We briefly discussed Coriolis, and we eventually fell on to Twilight 2000. Simply because it is not fantasy, it's not sci-fi. It's more of a dystopian, post-apocalyptic thing, but very much grounded in reality. And reading through the rules and the setting, I was like, this seems super cool. So I'm going to tell you about our game and how we ran it without a GM. I'm Tristan. This is Heroes and Homebrew. So the premise of Twilight 2000 is that in the late 90s, World War III breaks out between Russia and NATO. Russia's invading Poland and Sweden, and eventually it gets to a point where nuclear weapons are dropped and supplies and money is completely run out for both sides, and soldiers that are on the front lines are on their own. They have to make do and scavenge and survive in this sort of irradiated wasteland that was Poland. There's marauders and gangs. There's soldiers from all different units and branches and different sides. There's Russian soldiers, American, Polish, Swedish. They're all over the place. And you can play soldiers from any country, really. You don't have to stick with what's in the book. And you are essentially surviving in this post-apocalyptic wasteland. It was a very cool premise, and considering everything going on in the world today, I was like, well, this is kind of hits a little close to home, so let's give it a shot. One thing that really struck me was the hex crawl style of the system, which I could really get behind because I love hex crawl style play and the emergent storytelling that comes from it. So that really struck me. I thought the setting was really cool. The rules are pretty simple once you are able to grasp them, and you're not looking for the one type rule that deals with everything, like the roll a d20. But the character creation was a bit wonky. We found that looking through the rule books, you have to do a lot of flipping back and forth. They aren't laid out great, but considering myself and the players in my group are kind of used to how TSR used to lay out their rule books, where you had to flip through different chapters just to find the information for character generation, it wasn't that bad. Once you know what you're looking for and where, the character gen was very fast. I was able to whip up a character in about 10 minutes. So Twilight 2000 runs on the Year Zero engine, which is the engine that powers a lot of Free League's games. It powers, obviously, Mutant Year Zero, Alien, Blade Runner. If you're familiar with the Year Zero engine, this will be pretty easy to pick up. You have 4 attributes: strength, agility, intelligence, and empathy, and underneath each of those you have 3 skills that are associated with, and they range from an A to a D rating, and each of those ratings you roll a different dice for. So the strength, or in A rating, is a D12, and the D rating is a D6. If you have no rating in those, then you don't roll a dice for it. When you want to accomplish something, you roll the related attribute dice, and the related skill dice. All you need to do is score a 6 and above on one of those two dices, one of those two dice for it to be a success. If you are rolling a d10 or d12, 10, 11, 12 counts as 2 successes and gives you even more bonuses. So that's basically it. Most of the other things like your stress capacity, your coolness under fire, your unit morale, all of that uses the same type of rating. So the rules were really simple to get our heads around. Even though like we decided on the Wednesday that we were going to play this, and we played on the Friday night, we hadn't read all of the rules, but we had like between the three of us, we had the base knowledge of how things kind of worked, and we had of course the rule books on us, so we were able to look through what we needed. It was very much a, hey, here's this game, let's pick it up and play it. What we decided to do was we were going to use the solo role-playing rules that are included in the set, and we were going to combine it with the Mythic GME solo role-playing rules and play completely GM-less. We used random tables, we used the oracles, and we just discussed between us how things were going to progress. And it worked really, really well. We had a lot of fun doing this completely on our own with no GM guiding us. And I think moving forward, we're going to do this a lot more. It allows each of us to play our own characters. And because each of us are used to solo role-playing, we're able to quickly come up with what each of these things means and make decisions. And even if we have kind of like opposing decisions, we can either put it to a vote, or one person takes the lead and says this is what we're doing, and then the next time we have to make a decision, it's someone else. So because there was only 3 of us, that worked really well. I think with a larger group that might be a little more difficult, but for the 3 of us, it worked absolutely amazing. We had a lot of fun. We created our characters. We went from lots in Poland. We rolled up a rumor, which basically sent us out to look for someone who had knowledge of German gold from World War II, like the whereabouts. And we were off to the races. We took our Humvee from Lodz to Warsaw, where we were intercepted by a couple of marauders. Now, using the Oracle, we were able to find out that the marauders had information of where this guy was, but they weren't giving it up. And then communication broke down, and so I just opened fire on one of them. So a firefight ensued. It was very quick. Combat was very easy. And we won the fight because we were in the Humvee. We weren't in that much danger, and the marauders only had like a couple of pistols and an assault rifle. And we eventually overwhelmed them and got the information we needed. And then we hightailed it to Krakow. And that's where we ended up stopping the game. So now our guys are going into the Free City, Krakow, and when we play again, that's where we're going to progress from. Now, combat was really easy. Not easy as in that like there was no danger and we were definitely going to win. I mean, the mechanics of combat was really easy. You roll your agility for range combat, you roll your strength for close combat and heavy weapons. And then if you succeed, you do that much damage. If you have more than one success, you can do an extra point of damage. It's pretty simple to wrap your head around. I'm definitely going to pick up the physical copy of this. I'm really interested to see what the expansions are like as well. I think I really want to try and do a solo game with this. The solo rules included are they're good, but they're not as sort of in-depth as what you might get out of Mythic. So combining the two really will give you more of a robust solo game. we kind of forgot to be using Mythic properly. So we're going to, in the future, we're going to add the Mythic procedures into the solo procedures that are in the book. And that'll allow us to go step by step and make sure that we're using Mythic properly, because Mythic really shines when you're using their system the way it's supposed to be used. So that's basically it. It was a blast to play. It's a very cool setting. It was a refreshing change from the normal playing the normal D&D based or type high fantasy, or even if we're playing low fantasy. This is something very different that I think our group kind of wanted to try. And because since playing that game, I've been reading a lot of the other rules that they sent me for like Walking Dead and One Ring and Forbidden Lands. And I'm getting really into their mechanics. I'm going to start a One Ring solo game, which I'll record and I'll put on the channel, because I think that'll be really cool. And I'm starting to read Tolkien again, or reread, but I'm reading The Children of Hurin, which I've never read before, so it got me kind of thinking of the One Ring. And like, they're all very different settings, very different games, even though the mechanics are very similar. So if you've played one, you can kind of pick up the other ones very easily. So I'm looking forward to getting very into sort of the Free League world of games. I hope you guys got something out of that. Maybe they'll get you thinking about playing your own games without GM. I think maybe in the future I'll do a video on exactly how you can make that happen. Once I get a little more experience playing without a GM with a group of people, then I'll go through that in a future video and maybe help you guys out if you feel like it's something you want to try. If you've played Twilight 2000 before, let me know below. What did you guys do? Did you enjoy it? Let me know below, and I look forward to bringing you guys some more Free League stuff in the future. And that's it for me. Save a seat for me at your table.